Wife of 15 years ends love and friendship by effing next door neighbor. It was on Thursday that my wife made her genuine D-Day confession when she tried to explain that she had gone to see the next door neighbor, the just a friend guy, and had ended up kissing him once because she was feeling so sorry for herself. It didn't make any sense to me at the time. This affair had began at least a month earlier, based on her behavior and the many red signs that I saw. She puked a couple of times before confessing to having had with him only the day before she was supposed to see him. She has paid at least 3 visits to his place of living. She was able to establish that they had just exchanged a few text messages. Over the course of a handful of 2, 3, and 4 a.m. sessions totaling around 1 hour, T-Mobile proves the fact approximately 1,000 times. That's correct, we're talking about. The first time was when she tried to sneak out at 2 a.m. to help him with a sick kid. She was caught. That lasted maybe a half hour, maybe more, maybe less, but it was my first genuine oh moment. I'm not sure how long it lasted. She met him outside our door first thing the next morning to go for a walk with him and his 2 dogs. The second occasion was to pay a visit to some old friends. Even though she didn't say who or where she was with, I was able to catch her entering his apartment when she thought I wasn't paying attention. Upon entering his apartment, I saw that all of the lights had been turned out. Right then and there, I realized it was true. In his room, I sat with my back against the wall. She tried to sneak out of his back door around an hour and a half later in order to conceal her position, but failed. As soon as she noticed me seated on the grass, she flashed me the deer caught in the headlights expression, which conveyed fear, regret, and other emotions. Even though she had the nerve to sit so near to me, all I could smell was him and his. She contested it, alleging that there were other people in the room with her. There weren't any to be found. During the course of the night, I had strong suicide thoughts. Heavy. Aside from that, I attempted 3 other ways to entice myself. But, fortunately, it was just for a brief period of time. On the third and last time that I am aware of, she admitted to having relations with him. It was the night after we had discussed the possibility of divorce. I just thanked her for something and was attempting to be considerate of her situation. I prayed that I was incorrect and that everything was precisely as she said it would be. Even though I should have known better, my wife and I were inseparable. She is, my best friend, and she had been, is, my closest friend for 15 years. I truly wanted to put my faith in her. Then I made a dumb mistake. The AP was out of the region, so she and I began having apparently unguarded, candid chats about our prior marital difficulties, our present troubles with what she thinks to be wrong with us, and so on. She pressed all the appropriate buttons to persuade me she had never had with him, even once, but she did acknowledge she was drawn to him. If it was true, I told her I wanted at least one excellent weekend with her, and everything. But I wouldn't risk it if she'd already cheated on me with him. She was so convincing. Tears, embraces, and vulnerable conversation ensued. So that's what we did. I even assisted her in selecting a new vibrator. I'm so dumb and gullible. She did tell the truth. She cheated. She had intercourse with him more than once. You know when you know. So many songs and poetry have been written on this topic. I'm aware that I'm not alone in this, but what I know is new and cannot be unknown right now. Like many of you, I deal with this at all hours of the day and night. When I'm awake, I envision them together and listen to what they have to say about me. The self-deprecating thoughts about how she finds with him much more enjoyable than it ever was with me. And then there are the nightmares. They are often worse than when I am awake. If I do have a quiet period of sleep, I wake up after just a few minutes and realize that this is still true, and all the air flees me and I am unable to breathe. We had recently resolved in March to make a concerted effort to be better husband and wife, as well as parents to our daughter. I worked my tail hard to present my best self, exposed myself vulnerably to her, and she did the same at first. But when she met the obese, ugly dog man next door, she performed a complete 180 on me. I was taken aback. That was about a month ago. She gave the conventional "he's only a buddy" response. She then informed me she wanted me to go so she could be her own person for a bit. I was perplexed because I had done nothing wrong that I was aware of. I've done my best to be the best spouse I could be. However, it was due to the affair. This is beyond my comprehension. I'm traveling for a 3-week stay with relatives in Florida to remove myself from the situation. Perhaps you can get a better perspective on things. I'm not sure. I can't bear looking at her right now. I'm at a loss for words as I try to reconcile loving her for 15 years and now feeling such hate, wrath, and contempt for her in such a short period of time. It didn't have to end like this. This is not the case. I adored you from the bottom of my heart. You were my closest companion. Story 2. Found wife cheating, can't sleep anymore. In 3 years, my wife, a 26-year-old woman, and I have been married, and we have a 2-year-old child. Everything has been going swimmingly for me this year, thanks to a wonderful wife who loves me and a terrific child with whom I am really happy. Her internet friend from 9 years ago was meant to see her on this day 2 weeks ago, but it didn't work out. The man is married and he came to our country with a group of students from his former university. I assured her that I would not leave her alone, but I became unwell and was forced to remain at home. Because it was in a public location with a large number of school children, I believed it was okay, 16, 17. She made fun of me for being jealous and reassured me that she would be all right with everything. Later on, I saw some shifts in her demeanor, including one night when she stayed up all night, which was something she had never done before. I awakened at 5 a.m., walked into the living room, and inquired as to what she was doing so early. "I'm sending emails," she said. When I returned home, I was annoyed and fatigued, and I wanted to go to work, so I went back to bed, telling myself that I would keep an eye on the situation. It wasn't until later that I realized she wasn't going to bed at the same time as me and my kid, but rather a little later. After that, she began to use MSN more often and to leave it open for longer periods of time. Last but not least, on December 22nd, after she had gone to bed, I got substantial evidence in the shape of a long email from her. It had only been a week since they had last spoken to one another. She was about halfway through her email when the phone rang. No, not at all. It was translated by a filthy Australian man. "Please accept my apologies for disturbing your work, I needed to talk with him." As a result, I believe they had cyber. When she was writing something and we were having, I interrupted her because she wanted to try some positions we hadn't done much since having our daughter, and she was wearing her new cleavage revealing bra, which she never does at home. Eventually, we had, which was really intense. During the session, I murmured "I love you" a few times but never got a response, which is unusual since she usually does when she is feeling good. In the email, there was a paragraph where she mentioned that she had with me but couldn't get him out of her head and that she is a bad wife, which I found to be rather disturbing. Needless to say, it was a really sad experience. Since then, I haven't had a good night's sleep. Their emails to one another have been many times a day since then, with the majority of them discussing what they want to do when they meet and how much they miss one another. Every email, on the other hand, has a hint of erotica. So I'm certain that she hasn't done anything physical. She's just been using a camera online. However, it is quite upsetting to me. She once inquired as to what I would do if she cheated on me, and I responded by telling her that I would divorce her and take our child with me. My efforts to shield her from discovering what's going on behind my back have been fruitless. I'm just trying to find out what I'm meant to be doing right now. I've discovered a tiny bit about this person's background and where he lives so far. His contact information is provided. His wife's maiden name was revealed. His mobile phone number, as well as his office phone number, are both included. The phone number to contact in order to report improper behavior at his place of employment. But I haven't spoken to her about it yet. I'm thinking of doing it the next day. But I'm apprehensive. As a citizen of a foreign country, my prospects of acquiring custody of my daughter in the case of a divorce are almost non-existent. Aside from that, there are no rules or procedures regulating visiting ceremonies. Divorce is a complete and utter separation, and I may never see my son or daughter again. Furthermore, it tears my heart to such an extent that every night as I embrace my sleeping child, I'm a complete mess and have no idea what to do.